Indigenous Rights Radio, because knowledge is power.
Remember your children, remember our future, remember your children, remember Mother Nature.
Securing the rights of Indigenous peoples in the transition to Green Economy Coalition, in short known as SIRGE, spelled as SIRGE. SIRGE Coalition, which is composed of a global Indigenous-led alliance of Indigenous leaders who are on the front lines of defending Indigenous peoples' right to free, prior, and informed consent, as they face an increase in mineral extraction such as lithium, cobalt, copper, and nickel, which are needed for battery production for electric vehicles and other technologies. The coalition is made up of representatives from each of the 5 lead organizations, namely Cultural Survival, First Peoples Worldwide, Botany Foundation, Earthworks, and Society for Threatened Peoples. Comprising of 16 people, the SIRGE Coalition Steering Committee includes 2 representatives of Indigenous peoples from each of the 7 socio-cultural regions across the globe. The coalition held 2-day-long meetings prior to the 22nd UN Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues in New York. During the meeting, Indigenous leaders shared how an increase in mining for transition minerals puts Indigenous peoples and all peoples' health as well as health of their territories and planet as a whole at risk.
Remember your children, remember our future, remember your children, remember Mother Nature.
My name is Kate Finn. I am the Executive Director of First Peoples Worldwide. And I am also a founding member and a co-chair of the Executive Committee of the SIRGE Coalition. I'm so excited to be a part of the SIRGE Coalition because what I see is that as we move into the green economy, we have 2 issues that we need to solve for. The first is climate change and the chaos that climate chaos will bring upon us as Indigenous peoples and as a global community. The second is that we need to solve for this legacy of colonization that has kept Indigenous peoples' voices from being heard in the highest places where decisions are made. As we transition to the green economy, this is the point where we can find opportunities to elevate Indigenous leaders, solutions, and voices. We came together as SIRGE because all 5 of our organizations were seeing throughout our work all of these places where, in a rush to scale up green technology, more mines were being explored and developed. So this connection between mining and the impacts of mining and the green economy wasn't fully explored. So we came together to say, let's look at the supply chain. We know that a lot of these mines and the exploration will impact Indigenous peoples. How can we use this moment to elevate the voices of Indigenous peoples throughout the supply chain and throughout the markets, into the markets, and to decision makers at the highest levels? So as we in the world grapple with what green technology means, how do we upscale use? How do we look at degrowth? How do we answer these big questions? One thing is true. We have Indigenous solutions. Indigenous communities around the world know their land and their ecosystem. They know their priorities, their economic, social, cultural, spiritual, and environmental priorities. And those can be elevated through using free, prior, and informed consent as enumerated in the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples. And the more that we can prioritize free, prior, and informed consent, the more you will hear from Indigenous leaders. And that's what excites me most about being part of the SIRGE Coalition.
Remember your children, remember our future, remember your children. Remember.
For more on SIRGE Coalition, visit www.sirgecoalition.org. You also can follow us on www.cs.org.
Remember your children, remember our future, remember your children, remember Mother